Let's now talk about Melania Trump. Why is she in the headlines? Ahead of the upcoming presidential elections in the United States, she has broken ranks in a way and expressed a view on a key poll issue that basically contradicts her husband and Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump's views. You heard that right. In her upcoming memoir, set to be published a month from Election Day, Melania Trump vigorously defends abortion rights. Now, this is big, to say the least. The former First Lady of the U.S. and wife of Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump has rarely expressed her political views in public. But now, in a way aligning with her husband's rival, she has addressed a big election issue that could sway voters' decisions in the upcoming November election. Remember, the Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump contest also marks the first presidential election since the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade 2 years ago, leading to restrictions on access to the procedure in 22 U.S. states. The memoir, simply named Melania, will be published a month from Election Day. According to British newspaper The Guardian, which obtained a copy of the book, Melania Trump writes, and I'm quoting, "It is imperative to guarantee that women have autonomy in deciding their preference of having children based on their own convictions, free from any intervention or pressure from the government." She says restricting a woman's right to choose whether to terminate an unwanted pregnancy is the same as denying her control over her own body. "I have carried this belief with me throughout my entire adult life," quote unquote. You see, her choice to express strong support for abortion rights is remarkable, not only because she is close to a Republican candidate who opposes these basic rights, but also considering the serious decline of women's reproductive rights in the U.S. following the controversial ruling. Remember, in 2022, 3 justices appointed during Donald Trump's presidency voted to overturn Roe versus Wade, the landmark ruling that had safeguarded federal abortion rights. Since 1973 in the Supreme Court case Dobbs versus Jackson. And since then, Republican-led states in the U.S. have imposed harsh abortion restrictions. Donald Trump, for that matter, has sought to claim credit for the Dobbs decision, a long-standing goal of evangelical and conservative Catholic supporters in America, while also trying to avoid the backlash that it has generated by arguing that abortion rights should be determined by each state. However, Democrats have achieved a series of election victories by focusing on this issue even in conservative states. Threats to reproductive rights, including challenges to fertility treatments such as IVF, are proving troublesome for Republicans at all levels of this year's election. Just to be clear here, Trump has throughout his campaign shifted views as far as abortion is concerned. And this has frustrated social conservatives and anti-abortion rights groups. They are pushing for a nationwide ban, remember. Trump has stopped short of backing a federal abortion ban. During the first presidential debate with his rival, Kamala Harris, Trump basically declined to say whether he would veto a national ban. The former president has also criticized some of the most restrictive state laws on abortion, namely a 6-week ban in place in Florida where he lives. He said he favors exceptions in cases of rape, incest, or when the life of the mother is at risk. The former president called Florida's ban a terrible thing and a terrible mistake. In the U.S., more than 90% of U.S. abortions occur at or before 13 weeks of gestation. According to data from the CDC, less than 1% of abortions take place at or after 21 weeks. Recent reporting has highlighted cases of women who have died in states where abortion has been banned. Reportedly, Melania Trump, in her book, appeals for compassion. Quote, "When confronted with an unexpected pregnancy, young women frequently experience feelings of isolation and significant stress. I, like most Americans, am in favor of the requirement that juveniles obtain parental consent before undergoing an abortion. I realize that this may not always be possible. Our next generation must be provided with knowledge, security, safety, and solace. And the cultural stigma associated with abortion must be lifted," quote unquote. She goes on, If you really think about it, my body, my choice applies to both sides. A woman's right to make an independent decision involving her own body, including the right to choose life, personal freedom, quote unquote. And we could not agree more. If only she had defended this issue this passionately when she was the First Lady. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.